Hey, uh, Timothy Darrell Young, targeted individual, west coast of United States, Northwest Oregon, um, enduring the tortures of the targeted individual, and unfortunately, it's worldwide. Working with Mr. Kevin Christian of Atlanta to do some research, documentation, and then did a working at semi-professional interview. It was in two parts in the last 24 hours. Uh, we did the interview, and he was going to edit it, and I thought went pretty well. I had bullet points for the discussion. Got some points I wanted off across Southern TI in particular, for peer education and stuff like that, mitigation. And in between, I think he works nights. Uh, he going to work, putting out some other videos, keeping up with the TIs that are following the issues. And today, when he posted it, he's posted the second half of the video, and I guess that one was part of it was okay. But in between us making the video and it going up, my perps or his perps or combination of these folks, I had EMF gang stalkers faking the form of cops in the home with some of the allegations. That's low skill for the faking people thing, if you're into it. Kevin's second part of the interview, his gear got hacked, and the second part of the interview was like, or the first part of the interview was attacked, and my perps tried to shut down my Facebook. I've been routinely getting like obscenely censoring community standards requests or infractions on Facebook for censoring targeted individual disclosure material. And I have electromagnetic form perpetrators in and out of my R&M, having my life experience and able to show up as like local police when they're EMF perps in other locations. So all that shit went down when Kevin and I were trying to do an interview. Some of the bullet points that I had for it that I talked to Kevin about in the interview, the Dr. Karen Horton's stop007.org affidavit process for filing legally recognized documents for what's affecting targeted individuals internationally. And that's at stop007.org. So I want to talk about the affidavit process for TIs to file legal recognition of what's going on with them. I brought up lessemf.com again. I wanted to bring that up for shielding. They've done a lot of work already in trying to mitigate electromagnetic forces. I talked about how Voice of God, or VOG, VOG, tech is Satanism. I expressed interest in helping out peers for support on pro bono work. We're kept so poor. You'd feel horrible ever taking $1 from any one of us in a lot of instances. And I found some of that on Facebook and Instagram, some groups of TIs that have banded together. I've inevitably heard stories of when these groups form, gang stalkers get in and try to cause trouble and break up the groups. I talked about how these same community spy group tactics in the former USSR and former Germany, these spy groups were instituted when those countries were around, and it tore the countries apart. And it's a repeated pattern in history. And I think I expressed in the interview, like, I can point these things out, but how effective can I be in stopping it as one aware TI myself? And differences in technology, lethality, extended torture, uh, and all the mechanisms that are in place now in 2019 that weren't here in former Nazi Germany and former USSR make the problems that much more acute. The deep state Satanism, federally sponsored Zook streaks, people getting fed information, and old boys run amok. I want to talk about baby. I think I wanted to talk about baby monitors. That's some advice I've gotten from other targeted individuals. You get a non-Wi-Fi baby monitor and a radio on static, and that helps sort of jam some of their sound weaponry, is the word on the street. Oh, there's a rally, a TI rally in Sacramento soon. I won't be able to attend, but they often say that California is the first for a lot of things, and not just the U.S. and the world. But there's, I've been seeing legislation ideas introduced in California to protect targeted individuals. I think I may have given an example of what happened to me in Redmond and has happened in other places, the satanic misdirection of people, where EMF gang stalkers will fake people close to you, do or say something horrible in that person's form so that it destroys or attacks the relationship between you and the real person. That happened to me in Redmond in a domestic psyop. They had two suns in the sky that EMF perp faking my roommate's form pointed to in the sky and said, "Hey, look," and there was two suns in the sky. Heavy T is back on Instagram, and he had documentation on his video walking down the street being like, "You see that?" And he's like, "You see that?" They did this same two suns thing, and there was somebody in the comment section that was like, "Yeah, we're trying to catch these guys that are doing these torturous domestic psyops for their bemusal and wonderment and to make people look like assholes." They had a fake UFO, domestic psyop, wasn't really a UFO. Two suns, and then two moons out there in Redmond for the Poo-Cam opera. You know, the greatest little Poo-Cam show in Texas. Just relocated to the Northwest FEMA Redmond camp. Hey, there we go. I've had talking animals by appearance, and that can be done in a lot of different ways. Kevin's and others' advanced understanding of the illusion tech, I don't have the expertise in, but you could fake a squirrel's form talking, and that's, or possess a squirrel with tech. I don't know how it all shakes out, but here at the Nut House, we've had some communications with some squirrels, and it's gone a lot better than maybe Redmond, which was a little over the top. TI torture mitigation advice. I use legal pot. There's plenty of states in the United States that have legal pot. I recommend, if you're in one, to consider it. If you hadn't used pot for torture or pain mitigation, it really is medicinal. And this isn't spiritual what they're doing to us. It's that synthetic telepathy. But took a long time to get that figured out, and that and the U of O being 250th in the world, up 18 spots in a year for universities worldwide, has been something that I've been celebrating while all this other stuff is going on, and I feel like I'm juggling so many things sometimes. I recommended for medicinal marijuana music. I like EDM, helps mitigate the V2K or RNM music that sort of speaks to me. I've been able to pull out some pretty good individual songs over about 10 years of perusal of the genre, more than 10 years maybe. So pot, music, reading and writing has been some of my mitigation tactics, and then like indoor gardening has been something that I'm sort of getting into. This is good for TIs and other people hearing voices of any source, but I got my new plant there, and then doing something here. This is going to turn into sage. And then here's another, I think this is basil. You can see that plant there. And then I've got some vines of other indoor houseplants. And I try to get through my waking hours of the day getting satanic repeaters and suggesters, synthetic telepathy torture. They've been better in the last 72 hours. It hasn't been quite as acute, but at this, they also were in a coordinated assault of censorship on a pretty high magnitude of trying to hide information about corroborated evidence about the black Swiss cheeseful exits after death. And this is coming from people that don't believe there's life after death at all and are using these systems for remote neural monitoring, broadcasting, having like a monitor on me, which is somebody's consciousness, like right there, like Kevin's described, and other shit, crimes against creation. And on top of it, they're pretty convinced there's no life after death. So sort of put a hole in the bubble of that. Doesn't even make sense. So yeah. So okay, so TI torture mitigation advice. I wanted Kevin to explain more of his perception of their addiction to us as people that are like passed out on R&M machines having our life experience, and them asleep, their body, and then but their consciousness, their broadcast, awake here 24 hours a day. I think there's protocol to their attacks and otherwise boilerplate stuff that TI should learn not to take too personal. And the Buddhist advice of not being moved by praise or blame is really important. The difference between Kevin and I, like they tried really hard for this huge angle on this false religion shit. Satanic misdirection's been talked about, and it's been a big part of the black magic of them trying to mimic me, steal my identity, pretend it's like a gang stalker or something like that, who I really am, to mislead electromagnetic form gang stalkers in particular, like steal my identity, pretend it's an EMF gang stalker, and then they heap like satanic disrespect on to me, derangements, and other trouble. That's standard boilerplate tactics for what they're doing. They have lamented ever since I've learned more about what satanic misdirection is. And recent readings on neuro-linguistic programming protocol, what that is, that's been more or less my last 15 years with a lot of the V2K content. Really vague language, repeated statements, shit like that. There's more experts on I posted some stuff recently in social media on my Facebook on ways that you can help defend yourself against from people who are neuro-linguistic programmers, the NLPers, I guess they call themselves. But that's been a technique that's been used on my voice to skull for some time with some really painful, sustained applications. TIs may need to worry about mail getting intercepted. Like I'm thinking about getting this device from lessemf.com, which is a hoodie, cost about $50. I've talked about lead helmets. This one's designed for EMF. And I can test it with a cell phone EMF detector when I get it, but concerns about interceptions of mail is something that there may be other TIs that will have examples of, but they can, potentially switch out stuff so you feel like you get the real product, but it's a fake. We talked about the importance for TIs to consider getting older, out-of-date cell phones and rooting them or jailbreaking them and making yourself an administrator on the phone and not just a user, and taking off every single bloatware or otherwise hackable programs that gang stalkers would use on your phone. I've had Fusion Center bloatware and then faked reptilian bloatware off of cell phones that I've had. So it's used to terrorize me. State sponsored. And this may be hard for a lot of people to understand, but at the same time, while they're playing Satan like they're real people in other locations on headgear, they really are concepts applied. Like they're humans in other locations, but what they're doing, concepts applied, is the work of Satanism. To me, in 1.5 million TI Blackwater estimates out of a man from the security industry that jumped out of the low-level compartmentalization when he got an idea of what they were doing, and he's paying for it. They tried to modify his Spreaker interview or hide the original where he talked about 1.5 million American TI. More concepts applied, more or less like what's going on with me every day. Very hard lives, chakra systems ravaged in no good ways for no good reasons. So rooting and cell phone jailbreaks for TIs. They could possibly use cell phone to get in there to modify your video posts, like, you know, stuff that's going on, intricacies of the deception going on with Kevin and I. I'm redoing this video because my Kevin Christian interview covering these topics, they hacked into his computer to destroy and fucked up the first half. So I'm telling you here now on my YouTube channel, and maybe I'll share it with Kev. Yeah, my computers are hacked, cell phones. I've used like a Ubuntu operating system and then a memory stick OS to try and get as clean as connection I can, where like video content's not being modified as I'm strolling through YouTube videos or something. Satanic Project Mockingbird's being used on me. I've talked to other TI now in peer help groups where they've had the same phenomenon happen to them, where television screens, like no matter where you go, will continue talking to you. Satanic Project Mockingbird, and the solution has been just to turn our TVs off, and that's largely what I've been trying to do. It's been misleading my roommates here. In the psych ward, they've left the television off. They get replaced by EMF gang stalkers, faking the form of my roommate. So I tried not to interact with them much, but recently a mental patient by appearance saw a deep faked porn, otherwise completely false porn, of me screwing his ex-wife. And it upset him so much he put a hole in the wall. I was able to sort of stabilize the position and got some self-defense in a fist pack that doubles as a mace spray. Teach the old man what 160 pounds, 5'10", and almost 40 can do with a weapon. But what sort of diffused it in the moment was that I said I believed him. And then I said at the same time, that really wasn't me. I didn't sleep with your ex-wife. I didn't make a porn of it either. But the targeted individual group that's got control of cable, state-sponsored, cell phones, computers, street theater, EMF perps, faking cops inside my house, you name it. There's no expense spared by the Pucam Mafia. And I'm trying to get out information about those black Swiss cheese holes. In the main video that Wes Penry and I and some others that were corroborating the black Swiss cheese hole exits were using, they somehow took off YouTube. I emailed the video owner snail mail today to let him know what happened and see if that gets adjusted. There's plenty of other videos that I have, like on my own YouTube channel, that I've collected that corroborate the info as well. Some even better done. Okay, so cell phones, memory sticks with like Ubuntu or Debian's been suggested, but exotic operating systems on your memory stick, so that if shit hits the fan, you don't even have to use the hard drive to try to get a clean connection for video that's like not altered and shit like that. I'm no expert in all this IT stuff. Plus, they tunnel through the Wi-Fi and they use that in the Satanism for deception, torture, and their shits and giggles. EMF perpetrators and other criminals against creation. who think they're God or something, and at the same time don't think there's like life after death. There's going to be some pretty awkward questions that they won't answer or try not to answer. EMF perpetrators, like the woman who's trying to shut down Kevin Christian's YouTube channel, whose father was like worked in the judiciary in Georgia or something like that. Some of the allegations are what she's up to with this tech are, nothing short of unholy. And this is like some judge's daughter or something, possibly, allegedly, if I got the communication right, about who put Kevin Christian under R&M allegedly in Georgia, and is now trying to shut down his YouTube channel in a lawsuit that will he may get it shut down by the 8th is some of the shit that he's telling me also about what's going on with his gang attacking him, daughter of a judge, and she's so wickedly corrupt it's more than a war crime. It's crime against creation, crimes against humanity. Kevin Christian's wicked ex-girlfriend. Okay, so gang stalker, like Kevin talked about this, like gang stalkers will few word mislead people like fake world fame. Like in gang stalker, watch the secret second internet of people getting tortured to death. Like, yeah, I'm probably well known as that guy that almost died, maybe. But that's their notoriety, these people. And then they tried to overlap that with some public notoriety and complete like a Zug streak, public suiciding, and it flip-flop failed, or however you want to describe it. But yeah, and they'll say that they're from LA when they're from EMF gang stalking, or if said these cops are the LAPD, they're EMF gang stalkers, other code switching, Satanism. It's important to say what you mean and mean what you say and all that stuff, because some of the language that they anticipate used in trying to re-describe these crimes against creation is used for deception in itself. I don't know if I explained that as best I could, but like, for example, it's not just in my head. These voices, the precise verbiage, and commonly defined terms for debate are important, or even reason or understanding. Okay, yeah, reiterating advice for TI. Don't take things personal. Don't be moved by praise or blame. And you got to understand that they're like monitoring your brain and your personhood as they're doing things like street theater against you. So you don't want to, if you can physiologically resist any forms of ill feeling arising, or them being able to sense that they're really getting to you, that's to your advantage. Yep. So I've been exposed to some of the literature on neuro-linguistic programming. A lot of what's happening to me with the V2K's neuro-linguistic programming, double entendres, vague language, an example. Okay. Yeah, okay, so I'm in town in Hillsboro, where the site of D1X is for Intel, very relevant to my life and all of these disclosures. They make some of the most powerful chips in the world down the street. And down in California, where computerized torture and harassment is also a problem, they're working on legislation to help protect the TI from computer-enabled crimes against creation. But I've been misled, and it's boiled down to me being honest to liars that like steal my remote neural monitoring or otherwise take advantage of a good man. And I've been lied to, but I try not to lie. So I've been honest about lies I was told. And had to, some time ago, corroborate and execute a fail-safe process is that if there is a life after death, about these, these perps that are, trying to destroy videos that Wes and I have done about, and documentation about the Black Swiss cheese hole exits, avoiding the white light. They're trying to destroy that information. I think it's the same group that doesn't even believe there's life after death too. So they're really in a weird position, those perpetrators. Singularity questions come up. I am a non-consensual transhuman, have been one for 15 years, remote neural monitored, voice to skull, brain-computer interface. The singularity sort of kind of has happened for me in a way. And then there's Intel's D1X down the street. So it's like, this is appropriate. Yeah, Kevin, I saw recently, he was talking about he didn't want to get an R&M headgear set, having seen what it happens to the people that wear them. I'm not so, I don't know. I would have to get a clean connection and use it so I can get my consciousness away from any of the other perps. It may still be a good idea for me, but I haven't made a lot of progress scouring the dark web for any of these websites to find the gear. Some of the speculation and the research that I've done in being an unaware TI is that reptilians, if they exist naturally in the fourth plane or density. And these EMF perpetrator gang stalkers that are doing all this electronic stuff can be thought of similarly as like the Jews in the Nazi concentration camp that dug the big mass grave ditches before we were all shot and thrown into them. Like the infrastructure being set up by electromagnetic form perpetrators for being able to torture people remotely who are in 3D would benefit a torture, lust, hungry, unfeeling in a lot of ways that we do, speculatively, reptilian group of aliens that were fourth plane and not third plane. And it's like, they spent all this time making this system. EMF gang stalkers are getting paid off, time off crimes, drugs, sex slaves for themselves and stuff like that to do this and build this infrastructure around 1.5 million of us. And expand it potentially in the future. And then it's like the reptilians are there in the fourth plane, the overlords are like, oh, you made that for me, it's so Black Swiss cheesehole exits out of the solar system after death, and that's a good plan. Some people pretty firmly believe there's no life after death. It would be kind of nice, but I'm not going to take any chances. Like, I really want to try and get out of incarnating on Earth. So I've been broadcast for 15 years, made some of the worst kind of slave with R&M, mind and body, micromanaging your life for torture and maximum suffering. Oh, and I talked about in the video that next time I'd like to talk to Kevin about the Black Swiss cheesehole exits out of the solar system that I've corroborated by a bunch of different sources way before any of these perpetrators got me in 2004 when I was in grad school. The information was fed to me front-loaded as a child outside of Taif in the Middle East. It made a lot more sense formatively around this reality itself in total when I became a man. So that's some of the stuff that was hacked and stopped on Kevin's video from getting put out. A video with the Black Swiss cheesehole exits I wanted to continue to talk about has been taken down. They tried to take down my Facebook itself and some other tricks, and I've been able to preserve the information and get it out anyways. But yeah, the InfraGard fusion centers, taking policing powers away from the states, which was designed by the constitutional framers, all adds up to it's about 50 to 75 years looking at historical repeating patterns, referencing Germany and the USSR, and considering the advancements they have in like electromagnetic form perpetrating. It's about 50 to 75 years unless they stop this fucking behavior, and they won't even do it for me. It's going to tear the country apart, similar to what happened in the USSR. And Nazi Germany, and I'll continue to try to point it out and take steps to thwart it or otherwise stop it. But my perpetrators won't stop tormenting, perping me, and haven't for 15 years. And that's, a component of this. They need to stop the community spying. Has been some few word misleading use language for these community spying groups that tear apart countries.